I think we did it.
So this week we're continuing on with the restoration of our vintage carnival ride project, and we're currently tackling some hood ornaments. They used to be on all the ride cars. Previously, we replicated these out of plastic and then tried to get a chrome finish, and then last week we switched over to trying to make them out of metal, and we ended up with a few problems there. That's what we're going to pick it up this week. I've got some ideas on how I can fix those problems and see if we can get a good metal cast of this antique hood ornament. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a V-groove right in here to help fill this area of the mold. So that gives a little channel for that to get over there. And I think I want to open up this vent and the torpedo just a little more. Another thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to preheat this mold. I think that will also help. So we received more metal today. Unfortunately, the ingot is too big to fit in the crucible the way it is, so I'm going to have to cut it. I'm putting this piece of aluminum up here to give me a little extra height on my sprue for pouring, and hopefully that'll help. I think we should be just about warm enough to pour. All right, here goes nothing. As I mentioned last time, this small electric furnace is way overkill for melting pewter. All you really need is a hot plate, but I really like the form factor. It keeps it all nicely contained in this crucible. Well, let's see what there is to see. We still did not get a full pour, and this didn't actually help us here. This groove wasn't deep enough, I guess. So the V-groove we cut, it didn't actually use it, so the groove needs to be deeper, but it also appears like now we need a groove over here, because we actually did get to our vent at that part of the ring. So we're getting closer, we're just not quite there yet. And all of our vents on the torpedo worked. We have a little bit of a sinkage here. That's telling me that we need a riser here to fill it, which means drilling out that vent hole a little bit bigger so it has a column there that can feed back into this. So we're getting closer. I think heating the mold helped. I'm not sure if adding this riser for the sprue helped, and now it's stuck for some reason. I have heated this mold up in my oven, hopes of giving it the best chance of success. We've got the metal at about 295, so we're going to send it. I think we did it. We did. We got a full pour on that ring. Excellent. Okay, so we added the extra channels. We ran the mold hot. We heated it up to like 100 degrees Celsius before we even poured the mold. We ran the metal as hot as possible, like 295, and it worked. All right, let's see if we can get this out of the mold. Not too bad on the shrinkage there. I increased the size of that vent to give it more metal to pull from. All of our vents have metal, so these should be able to break off. All right, time to do just a little bit of cleanup on these. I need to separate the base from the ring, get rid of this runner in here, and then trim up these other little pieces. I need to take it out. This blade is incredibly dull. Definitely need to treat myself to some new saw blades and maybe a whole new frame.
One eternity later.
Okay. There we go.
I will leave links down below in the video description to all the tools and supplies I used in this project.
Alright, not completely sure if this is going to work, but going to give it a try. Going to try to use this abrasive cutoff wheel to cut off that runner. Nah, we need a saw blade. Perfect. Just gotta remove that. Alright, I think we might take the rest of that off with a file. That looks pretty good. Just a little bit of polishing yet. I think we have this to the point where we can start sanding it now and get the final polish on it. Alright, I am going to start polishing this up with some steel wool. This is 4/0 steel wool. And this is going to kind of polish it, and it's going to show me any areas that aren't cleaning up. Any imperfection that the steel wool can't take out is something we're going to have to dig a little bit deeper with either a file or sandpaper. Alright, so we have some file drag marks in here and a few little dings here. So those are going to need further sanding. Alright, no real surprises here either. This is where we have this little hump and then a sink mark on either side, so we're going to have to sand that down quite a bit to get that out of there. A little work to do here on the parting line to make that go away. Okay, there's our starting point. Just see what that all looks like. So now we just need to hit it with some sandpaper. I'm using some 800 grit sandpaper to try to remove any of the blemishes in the surface. The seam line, where the flashing is, just trying to get all of that out of there, at least as much as I can. Some of them are a little bit too deep. I'm not going to be able to get it all the way out, but Just trying to get it reasonably close. This is not going to be a perfect finish on this one, but it's going to be damn good. Alright, now we're going to take the steel wool to it. Moment of truth. The Mother's mag and aluminum polish. This stuff seems to work pretty well on pewter. Looks pretty good.
Well, I could not be more happy with how this turned out. Now I just have to go along and make 4 more of them. And I don't know if in the future if we're going to nickel plate these or if we'll just leave them the way they are. But for now, I want to move on to a different part of this Carnival Ride restoration project. And if you want to follow along, click that link to the left and come along for the ride.